Okay, so we've got this is Richard, the board one of UC San Diego, playing against Chess Tiger Ethan, board four of UT Austin. Let me make sure we're following all the players. Okay. All right, this is UC San Diego's fourth board against UT Austin's top board. So UT Austin has an international master, Rifeng Li, playing as board one. So this is again board four versus board one. So it's going to be a very large rating difference. And it looks like Rifeng has a time advantage of over a minute. On the board, it seems pretty even, although I would say that Black's king doesn't seem as safe. Or White's king, excuse me. Black's king has pushed all of the pawns up. White's pawns are also pretty advanced, but the difference to me is that these pawns are very annoying and very aggressive, invading on the king's space. So yeah, we do see a capture. Black takes that bishop, which was one of the defenders of the king. And White opts for queen takes first, trying to get the queens off the board. The second rook can come in with check now. King to g2, and I would play f3, I think. Because black really wants to, or white wants to play f3 to solidify this pawn. Instead, black doubles up on the h file. White probably should contest this. But then f3, only then actually would be lights out. So you can't go rook h1. Instead, rook to g1, anticipating rook h2 check, tucking the king away onto f1. And here black just advances the king. White trying to solidify a pawn chain with c4. And black continues. They've got a 2-on-1 majority here. Trying to make a pass pawn. White also has a passed pawn, but these pawns are much more advanced and much more dangerous. And we have the fourth board has just started as well. So the Chess Panda is board 3 for UC San Diego. This is Brian Sheldon. And this is the board 2 of FIDE Master from UT Austin. So these are two very strong title players from UT Austin. Here, UC San Diego does have a title player. Their top board, a national master, who actually used to play on MIT's team last year. And it looks like UT Austin has their third board here. Atulia is actually also a national master. So very strong teams here. UT Austin definitely the favorite. But back to this board 1 matchup against UC San Diego's board 4. He only has 20 seconds left, so it's going to be tight. And yeah, that's a checkmate with the rook, the king, the pawn. And so that's the first game of the match. Let's look at UC San Diego's board 4 now. So let me give them a point here. All right. Sorry, I'm still setting up here. Um. Okay, that Richard won. So board ones both win for both teams, respectively. Here we'll look at Chess Panda's game. So 2 games left in round one. Both teams tied at 1. So let me update this. All right. Okay. All right. I can focus now. Cosmic Commotion, thanks for the follow. All right. So looks like White's king is kind of stuck in the middle. So is Black, but I think Black will have a safer time castling Queen's side. White can push the pawn, attack the rook. Could also just take this pawn. White is also considering bringing the rook out with tempo on the queen. There is a check, so you have to watch out for that. Hey, Z Nation, you're amazing too, man. Thanks. Good to see you. Okay. All right, so we still have 2 games left in this first round. I'm going to focus up here. So we did have rook here, and this queen then removed. Oh. So after this, the knight comes with tempo, hitting the queen, which threatens a check as well, and only then would the knight retake the rook. So I don't think we can take here. Okay, white proves me wrong, takes there instead. And yeah, now takes here with check. King has to move. And now we're just down a rook. We get the knight, so it's an exchange, but knight takes here. King takes, rook takes. Looks pretty good for black. I think the FIDE master with their username isn't telling the whole truth. I don't think they're 1800 strength. They're a bit better than that. And yeah, they're probably going to win this game. So over 2 minutes as well ahead on the clock. Here we have, what is this? This is UC San Diego's board 2 against the board 3 from UT Austin. Both players under a minute, but UC San Diego's player less than 30 seconds. Also having their rook attack, so they double up on the F file, and this king is pretty exposed. So is black's king, but black has all their pieces on the king side, whereas white's pieces are kind of on the wrong side of the board. So the knight is hit. The knight's going to have to move. Where do you go? Okay, so the queen moves to defend the knight, and now white's going to try to bring their pieces in to the defense. Also, definitely covering this f4 square, making sure that the queen doesn't get trapped, or at least removed from the defense of this king, who really needs it. So I would expect this knight to come in here, trade this off, and then kick the queen out. So the knight shuffles up a bit, decides to trade off finally. So now the queen's hit. You can go here, or maybe push even. Push and then rook here, but then rook pawn here defends. Okay, rook back hitting this pawn, but I think the pawn should just keep going unless the rook gets behind it. No, instead going after this, which is hanging. Can we take it? Now rook takes here. Is it possible? I think so. Ooh, I think rook takes would have been great for black. I'm not sure, because you had at the end of that line queen check, maybe with the fork. Instead, we got a couple pawns traded. Okay, rook and queen coordinating. Now the rook has the 7th. Okay, doubled up rooks, trying to trade those off. Only 5 seconds. Okay, we're down 2 pawns and a lot of checks. White should be able to win this, pushing this advanced pawn. I don't think black is going to have any tricks. Oh, and yeah, so the last game, 1800 strength did win. So let me update that. And this game looks like it's going to go to UTA A. Yeah, now 3 pawns to 0. Only 1 second on the clock. Very hard to find moves in such time pressure. Gonna keep checking. Maybe hope for some sort of stalemate trick. Not entirely sure if that's gonna be possible. Blocks with queen. We can take the other pawn with check, but then the queen blocks the check with a check. Yeah, and there's a timeout. So no time, not enough pawns in the position, and yeah, UTA takes the first round. So the only point for UC San Diego is from their board 1, Richard. Hello, John. All right, so that concludes round 1. They should be moving on to the second round. This is your team, UT Austin. You cheering them on? They're playing against UC San Diego, which is where my brother went to school. No, not Arlington. This is Austin. Not Arlington. Although I believe Davina goes to Arlington, so that would be exciting if you guys made a team. Okay, so moving on to the next round. Here we have Rifang, board 1 from UT Austin against the board 3 of UC San Diego. And they're going through this opening really quickly. I think they know their stuff. So black deciding how they want to take back. They got a lot of options. Honestly, there's too many. They decided to go with the bishop. I think is the right choice. Just taking this diagonal. Knight takes would have also probably been fine. Bishop takes is where I draw the line. Or rook take, but definitely not pawn takes, obviously. So anyways, the king steps off this diagonal, knowing that they've moved the f pawn, so it is a bit weaker, especially now that there's a bishop in the equation. The rook steps off the semi-open f file and is going to help advance this e5 pawn break. And you see all of black's pieces are really pointing towards this. The white knight steps back. Will we support it even more, adding another piece to attack e5? Not yet, just simply a6 to play b5 so that we can get our bishop out. And white, after moving the knight back, takes up c3 with the pawn and then breaks through with d4, making sure that black will have a hard time ever playing e5. So I like how white's playing this. They're planning on playing g5 now. They're really launching these kingside pawns. This is turning out to be an exciting game. I like white's position definitely. It seems that they have a hold on the position. This bishop is going to be blocked out for quite some time. It's going to be hard to break through in the center. So we do see queen c7. But yeah, g5, just a simple follow through. Bishop has to tuck back, perhaps aiming at d6 to go after f4. And this rook might have to come back to the f file. This pawn is weak, but hard to point at. I mean, there's bishop here, but probably not right now. So the knight just plugs this hole on e5. Taking e5, we've got almost every single black piece pointing exactly at e5. But as soon as you capture, one of the pawns will capture back. And this pawn on e5 is going to be annoying to deal with. Okay, so we take with the bishop so that after pawn takes, there's no tempo on the bishop. And we do put the rook back on the f-file. The knight now blocking the f-file, denying the rook trade, and attacking e6. Now, every single white piece is going to gang up on e6. So we're going to probably see bishop h3 is my guess. White will never take here. Would be my guess. Okay, g6. Clamping down on these pawns. You don't really want to take. Queen takes would be very harsh. White is really dictating the pace of this game. Yeah, black deciding, do I do nothing? Do I take or do I push? Those are really the three options. And when I say do nothing, I really mean find some counterplay somewhere else. Maybe deciding if they need to sack an exchange, but this knight is really blocking the second rook, and you don't want to allow white to double up because that would be pretty crushing. So eventually just decides to take, and now the knight can take, trying to go for a rook trade, I think is really smart, especially with the tempo of the knight. And queen can take, which is also very strong because it opens up that diagonal again for the bishop. Opting for knight takes now. This is a deadly family fork. So rook takes pre-moved. And now rook here, that's going to be lights out. And knight here is the fork. So hard to defend both, and that should be the game. Black loses the queen here and resigns. Yeah, after knight takes and the rook trade, it's almost impossible to defend both of those threats. So great game from Ri Feng, who goes to a 2-0 lead now, beating the boards 4 and 3 respectively. Let's look at the board 1 of UC San Diego again. Yes, Spiral Flames. This is 2 different colleges. This is UT Austin and UC San Diego playing in Division 1, Group B. So there are 6 divisions. The top 5 divisions each have 16 teams. And the 16 teams are split into 2 groups of 8. This is the second group of the top division. And the groups are split basically off of, this is such a strong position. Oh, man. Yeah, that's mate next. What a finish here from Richard. Also going 2 for 2. So the top boards are doing well. This is National Master against National Master. Let's look at this sequence again. Bishop takes, pawn takes, rook here, and not the move that black needed to find. Queen check now, king up. Notice this knight is what's protecting against the checkmate. But Richard sacrificing the bishop to get queen h8 check and forcing the mate with this pawn. Very nicely done. Now let's check out Chess Tiger versus Luca. Yeah, Trazil, if you're playing, you play 4 games per match. You play each player on the other team. So there are a total of 16 games per match. Let me update Richard's score. All right, so this game looks like UC San Diego is up a pawn, which is nice. Although this is an isolated pawn, it's very weak. And black, oh, never mind. That's a big fork to give up. Yeah, black blundered there with rook e6. I didn't see that at first, but white definitely saw it and should be able to convert this. Up an exchange and a pawn. Although black has a much more active king, for sure. And he's bringing that king in. He's going to use this knight to try to win this pawn. And white's not in a position to sack the material back. He has to go for the activity, and he does so. Gets the pawn back, so I don't know if black could have saved that pawn. But, okay. Defending this pawn, getting behind this pawn. You can play here, but then this falls, then this falls, then that falls. So instead of just bringing this in, but after this, hitting the knight, this pawn will be passed. And white should be able to convert this. So looks like UC San Diego should be getting another point here from another player. So Richard will be joined by his teammates, which is always good to see. Okay, here's a check. Attacking the knight, still defending the pawn. Black resigns. So that's a point for UC San Diego's board 2. Bringing it back within 1. So here, if black can win, the match is tied. Unfortunately, black is down in material by a pawn. And also down on the clock and playing a strong 1800 strength FIDE master. What's the score? It is 4-3. This is the second round. I hope you should be able to see the... Here, let me make it bold so maybe you can see it a little bit better. I don't know if you can see the score very well, but it's there, 4-3. And we're waiting on this game. So both players under a minute, but black has only 25 seconds. Down a pawn as well. Gonna try to find some counterplay. Okay, white brings the queen in. E7, very active. Oh, and there's a rook. Rook h3 taking advantage of the pin. of that pawn. So getting that pawn back, material is equal, but anything could happen with the short time control. Only 15 seconds for black now. Okay, bishop hitting the queen. Where's the queen going? Here? No. Where's this queen going? I think the queen's trapped. Queen here. Okay. Knight takes. My apologies. Ah, bishop check, winning the exchange. Black playing really well. Losing this pawn. Attacking this knight. Okay, knight here now. Knight back. So this is an outpost. It's not defended by a pawn, but it can't be attacked by a pawn. So very unique position for this knight. This pawn's attacked, so the rook lifts. Black is feeling good here, although these pawns are very, very aggressive. This hangs the knight, but then pawn push. Is white calculating this? Only 20 seconds. No, they bring the knight over. They're just going after this pawn. After this pawn falls, these are some aggressive pawns. And the pawns are rolling immediately. The rook's going to have to step this way. Yep. Now, will white take this? 14 seconds now. They take with the rook, trying to trade off rooks. Knight here. This knight has to guard this square. Knight here now. Yeah. I think rook here might have been a mistake. Maybe knight to c7 was a little bit better. I'm not sure. Knight c7 and then the pawn pushes, so maybe not. Okay, we can take this now. Okay, so we got that pawn. Both players less than 15 seconds on the clock. White has a lot of pawns. Knight back here? No. How are you? Okay, you got to go here. Pawn. Oh, no. Yeah, white has turned this around. White should win this game now. Oh, that's brutal. So black winning the exchange, playing really well until the end. The pawns proved to be too powerful. And resignation. So UT Austin holds on to their lead and actually strengthens it. This was the second point. So the top boards of both teams are pulling their weight, which is what you want to see. Jay Magin and Jason Ma, Brian Sheldon for UC San Diego, yet to find a win, although the first two rounds are definitely the toughest for them. So in the second half of the match, they will be playing the players closer to their rating. They'll be playing the boards 3 and 4. So yeah, this match isn't over yet. UT Austin has a 5-3 lead, but that can swing in an instant. You need 8.5 to win, so they're 3.5 points away total. Let's see how they do here. This is Chess Tiger versus the Chess Panda. So neither player has won a game yet, and they're both hoping that this is going to be their first. Spiral Flames, thanks for the follow. Okay. Bishop develops, breaking the pin on the knight. Gonna castle kingside next. White maybe looking to do the same. Gonna develop their bishop, perhaps with a check. Although probably will just defend very simply with many different moves. Maybe a bishop here seems very reasonable. Getting on this nice diagonal. No. So they opt for the check, and black blocks with c6 with the tempo and then castles. White castles back. How to continue for black? Need to develop this piece. Perhaps here. Or perhaps we reroute. Okay, knight to d7 has been played, getting that last piece out. So both sides now only need to develop the queen. I could imagine the queen wants to come here with the bishop coming back, putting some pressure on h7. The knight is holding this down, defending it, and if bishop takes, we have the knight there to recapture, but that does hold black's pieces at bay. So the rook comes now into the c file for both sides, putting some pressure on the c pawn. Black considering maybe c5. Central expansion, trying to open up this diagonal again for our bishop. Okay, the bishop goes back to f4, a peculiar move. Getting off the tension of this diagonal. But I'm not sure if it's supporting a knight move. But that definitely frees up this piece. Okay, black going for a6. Seemingly going for b5. But actually, it might be preventing the knight from coming in. I'm not too sure, because it seems that black wants to go for c5, but doesn't want to give up control over b5 just yet. Yeah, this is a 5-2 time control. So it's blitz. There's increment. It's a faster pace. Because, yeah, if the intention of a6 was to play b5, I think b5 could have been played a move earlier. So that leads me to believe that we want to play c5 without giving up b5. So how does white respond to this? White using a little bit more time than their opponent. Chess Panda staying above 4 minutes on the clock. Tucks the bishop back. So I was expecting this, definitely with threats of b5 looming. But honestly, this is just a better diagonal. So the queen and bishop want to work together. And so black continues with c5. Again, the plan to open up this diagonal is underway. So black has a pretty straightforward plan. White still using their clock, definitely considering taking here. But I don't think you want to. I think you want to try to maintain this pawn on d5 for as long as possible. And we do see the knight coming in to e5, offering a trade of knights. Also opening up this diagonal a little bit for the queen. Can't be used right now, but perhaps in the future. Rook e8. Just on the semi-open e-file. If a player is now shown as a possible sub or a roster change is not allowed. Roster changes aren't allowed during mid-match. If a player has played any of their games and then they leave, then the games that they didn't play, that are forfeited. Yeah, the roster is due Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific, and then if you make any changes to that after, it's a penalty point. But if someone starts the match, you can't change it mid-match. I'm like answering a lot of these questions throughout the day. If they've played any of their games. Okay, I think we had a match result from J Magin. I think J Magin lost their game here. So white won by resignation. Yeah. That's just too much. Okay, so Can the Crown won. Okay, Richard lost to 1800 strength. So let me update the board. Richard lost to 1800 strength, yeah. Okay, UTA is pulling away here in the third round. This is looking tough. So, yeah, Richard got his king and queen forked here. After knight here, we needed a move like this or something. Anyways, we've got 2 games left. Oh, white's putting on some heat for sure here. Although white has less than 40 seconds. Rui Feng, board 1 of UTA, 2 out of 2 so far. Maybe meeting his toughest opponent yet. How do you defend this? Bishop here, maybe? But then there's rook takes, queen check. I don't know. Rui Feng is up material. Yeah, he plays bishop f8. And now what? Okay, taking here. No concrete follow-up. Wasn't this piece hanging? Could we have taken this? So now the bishop comes back with a nasty pen. Yeah, this was a missed opportunity. After rook here, the threat is to take this and this. Okay, the knight was hanging. And if you take this, then that's hanging. Okay. I guess, but now this is kind of bad. So now we can take this, no? Rook takes. That's a threat. And also if you move the knight, that's a big threat. So knight takes, and now bishop's hit. There's this. Not a lot of time. 19 seconds. He finds the check. And now what? Do we take this? No. Oh, he's offering queen trade. But now you're just you're down a bishop. Here, or there is good as well. This now. Knight all the way back. Yeah, black is just winning this one. So white had a really strong position, but no time at all. And is now down a piece. So that was unfortunate. And let's go here. Oh, Chess Tiger just timed out. So they were not able to finish their game. Let's see. Chess Tiger still with no points. Chess Panda getting their first point of the day. Getting UCSD a very much needed point. Unfortunately, it looks like they're going to lose this game, though. And UTA will clinch the draw with 8 points. Assuming this pans out to a win. And it looks like black should be making a queen. Yep. And that wins the knight. So now up 3 pieces for a bunch of pawns. White could win a piece back, but up 2 pieces is still more than enough. Only 5 seconds now on the clock. Trying to get this last few moves in. Pendiculation chest. Oh, there's a nasty fork. Okay. Well, there goes the game. Fang, 3 out of 3. Actually, both top boards for UTA are 3 out of 3. And now we're going into the final round. UTA only needs a draw to clinch the win. UCSD is going to have to sweep if they're to continue. Unfortunately, I think the odds are stacked against them. But the 4th round is each board plays against the same board of the other team. So board 1 versus board 1, all the way down to board 4 versus board 4. Again, UTA only needs a draw to clinch. I think they'll be going for more than just a draw, though. And both teams board 4s. Both 0 out of 3 so far. But now, after playing all the stronger boards, they're playing each other. So one of them is at least guaranteed points. So that'll be exciting to watch. These are the board 3s. Atulia here from UT Austin getting 2 points out of their 3 games so far. Chess Panda 1 out of 3. And this is a very interesting attack here. G4. Really weakening the kingside pawn structure. But showing that they're not afraid to break the pawn structure to get an attack going. So the knight opens up this diagonal for the bishop, putting some pressure on these points. White just responds immediately. Knight d3. They've actually gained time on the clock. Here, black looks like they're going to fianchetto into this wall of pawns. White finally dipping underneath 5 minutes. Maybe their first prolonged think here. Brings up the bishop. Okay, black trying to break down at the strong central point of white's pawn structure. White can probably leave this as is. I would be expecting white to try to trade off dark square bishops here, try to infiltrate with the queen and the bishop along this diagonal. Also, we might see the king to the corner, try to open up the G file. Okay, play is now continuing on the queen side, expanding. I would expect white to close this. No, they trade. So now the B file is completely open. And we might see white take it before black does. All right, so we have all 4 games have started now. I'm kind of interested in Chess Tiger versus J Magin. So Chess Tiger, definitely the lowest rated player out of both teams, but you never know. We've seen some crazy upsets before. Looks like both knights here could dive right in to c7. Not sure. So the drawback is that rook will move, and then the knight's not really doing anything here. So the king actually come over to get out of this fork. So black will not be castling. This is a check. Actually, where's this? Oh, now we go here. Okay, yeah, this was unfortunate. Um, yeah, this queen is pretty much trapped, actually. So that's game over. After this point, yeah, I don't know. I guess A3 is very powerful, intending B4. This queen is so short on squares. So, yeah, I think that's that. Oh, the chess panda getting a win against the crown. What happened here? Rook takes that b file and then bishop b7. Perhaps a mouse slip, maybe intending for a6. Either way, National Master goes down. UC San Diego has some life here. So both board 3 from both teams. Getting 2 out of the 4 points. Breaking even here. Chess Tiger playing on in this position, but that's probably going to... I trust J Imagine can clench this one out. Looks like the game will be ending soon. Barring a Botez Gambit. Let's look at the board ones here. The top boards from both teams. What is going on? So Ri Feng, is that a free pawn right there? So yeah, knight to e7, hanging e5. And Richard now deep in the thought. Ri Feng still about starting time. 5 minutes. Richard probably upset with himself dropping that pawn. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a lot of time to spend after that, and white just immediately answers back with castles. Okay, we haven't looked at this one yet. What is going on here? This king, I don't know why he's on d2. But he's found himself here. The king would like to tuck away, but you want to get the rook out first, but the queen's in the way. So we could see a queen move to get the rook here to play here. But that's a lot of moves. And black already being castled is just trying to break through. This is a gambit. The knight could take this. And then black will crash through here. Yeah, saying this pawn is now overloaded. And the king's in the middle of the board. The queen will be retaking whatever's left hanging with check. And black is looking good here against the FIDE master from Texas. So I'm just routinely checking in on this game, seeing how things are panning out. Chess Tiger not giving up just yet. Both these pieces hanging by pawns. We could take either way. Okay, takes with pawn, saying if you take mine, I'll take yours. Instead, the knight is left hanging, and now the bishop's also hanging. More materials falling. Let's check out Richard again. So, Richard, you know, being down a pawn is not the end of the world, but being down over 3 minutes is pretty rough. So, Richard's going to have to speed up a bit here. He's going to try to castle. No, he's already castled. Sorry. I thought that was his king still. Okay, knight attacking the bishop. Are we going to trade here? Okay, he's bringing his knight back to c6. Trying to re-win this pawn. You know, sometimes losing a pawn can be beneficial. If you don't have a plan, sometimes giving up material gives you a plan of trying to win the material back. So perhaps that's what Richard has in mind all along. However, he does have very, very low time. So, yeah, white is just busting out these moves. This is a problem, this whole situation. The knight is pressured. This pawn is heavily pressured. And the knight is supporting this. So, bishop goes here again, just trying to open up, trying to win back e5. But if white can win this, then the center will be completely white's. So how does white want to continue? Bishop takes, I figured, would be an idea. Instead, bishop here, trying to hold on to this material advantage. So the rook steps up, maybe perhaps allowing for the doubling of the rooks. I'm still thinking this is a good move. And then this. Okay, so white takes. We take with the pawn. I'm expecting this, perhaps. And then winning this pawn, no? That would be my guess. Let's go back to this game. This one could be very important. Both sides even on material. This king has found its way to c1, a bit safer. Unfortunately, though, the rook is going to be out of play for some time. Whereas black can get the activity of all of their pieces. Okay, hitting the bishop first. Bishop can come here with a fork and tempo. The rook might want to just go to... Okay, so the bishop steps back. We could see an expansion here, trying to trap the bishop. Okay, going this way instead. Okay, so white plays a4, dual purpose, gives some space to the bishop, gives some space to the rook as well for a lift. We might see this closed down, just keeping this rook trapped in there. Okay, so J Imagine finally beats Chess Tiger. Chess Tiger giving up here. Although they put up quite the fight after initially dropping the queen. So let's update that. J Imagine getting the first point of their day on the 4th board. Now UCSD within 2 points to tie it. They've won the first 2 so far this round on the bottom boards. Can their top boards finish it? It's going to be most difficult for the board 1, Richard, up against Rifeng. The board 1 from UT Austin, the international master. And it looks like Rifeng's got quite the lockdown on the position. Up 2 pawns now. Although these 2 pawns are isolated and doubled, but these pawns are also doubled. The biggest advantage here is definitely the clock. Over 2 minutes to less than 10 seconds. Going to be very difficult to proceed, even with the advantage on the board, which Richard unfortunately doesn't even have. So white using the time here, contemplating how to finish out this game. There is a simplification here if they want it, which honestly I'm not even sure if they do, because this bishop's not too great. Wow, we see a bishop sacrifice, and we're probably going to follow that up with a knight check. Okay, queen's trying to trade down here. So this was declined. Now rook takes. And now the bishop will probably find its way back, having grabbed another pawn. Although, you know, black also took a pawn, but it was a doubled isolated pawn. So probably not as useful as the h6 pawn, which was controlling g5. So black trades off their bishop. The rook is now lifted. There's another pawn taken. So black only down 1 pawn now, but one of the pawns they do have is doubled. Not too healthy. Also, this pawn looks very weak and can be grabbed. Although probably this pawn would be hanging. So, but you know, you take this pawn and you're left with these double isolated pawns. So not too good. Not too good for Richard here. So let's see. How is his teammate doing? Both players now under a minute. UC San Diego with slight time advantage, trying to box out this bishop. Will white allow that, or will they push this pawn, freeing up some space for this bishop to tuck back? This king finding its way on a2, trying to get this last piece into the game. Okay, so the queen is hit. We could go here. We could go here. Could also go here. Could also, no, you don't want to trade. Well, I mean, you don't want to get with the queen. So we're going to have to find a move for our queen. Both players now under 30 seconds. Where is he going to put that queen? Here, here, here. Oh, no. 15 seconds. 10 seconds. He finds a move. Queen h3 he goes for, and he drops this. What was that? That was a whole knight. And now he wins this. So he gives up the knight for the rook. Both players barely any time. Oh my god, Richard with 2.2 seconds. He made a move with 0.2 seconds left. He is living off the increment. This king is marching these pawns down personally. I think Richard's going to lose this one. And with it, the match. Can you push this now? Okay, rook check. King here. There's some crazy lines of mate, but unfortunately, I think white should be fine. Can you push and then knight takes? It's very intriguing. Yeah, he pushes. 2 seconds. He takes here. The knight's covering this, but then the rook takes that. Rook takes with check. You have to go back to defend that. What's happening over here? Both players with about 20 seconds. Black up in exchange. Should be able to clinch it, but unfortunately, I don't think Richard can. I mean, if he gets to swindle the century here, that could have been played. No, so hitting this. Where do you go? Back here. Knight here. Rook here. Trade. King takes. King here. Rook takes here is a threat. Rook check as well is a threat. Yeah. Richard resigns. So Ri Feng clutching it up for UT Austin. Because UC San Diego wins that one. And my goodness. It was down to the wire there. Ri Feng winning his match against Richard. 9-7 final score. Super close. If Richard won his last game, he could have won, but unfortunately his opponent was their board one international master. Very close match. Well done by both teams. So that was exciting. That was a really close matchup.